Good afternoon and welcome to the Assembly Committee on Commerce and Labor. Secretary, will you please take roll?
Assembly members Anderson, Carter,
Present.
Cole, Hardy, Howdigi, Kasama, Miller, Monroe Moreno, O'Neill, Roth, Torres Fawcett, Yeager, Urick, and Chair Marzola.
Present. Thank you. Welcome everyone that is here in Carson City with us. Though, well, there's no one in Las Vegas, but those tuning in over the internet. Today we'll hear three bills: Senate Bill 11, Senate Bill 97, and Senate Bill 439. I will not be taking those in order. Before we get started, I would like to make a few housekeeping announcements. Member of the public may provide testimony in various ways, which are all listed on the agenda. When testifying, please turn on your microphone to speak and off to listen. Also remember to please state and spell your name for the record. If you have handouts with the committee, please provide 20 copies to the committee secretary prior to your testimony. Committee information is available on the legislature's website, which you may also watch through the legislature's YouTube channel. We ask that public comments be kept to 2 minutes per person so that everyone can be accommodated. As always, I expect courtesy and respect in all our interactions, even if we may not agree. Finally, please put all your electronic devices either on off mode or silent mode, especially your cell phones. And with that, we will move to our first agenda item. I will now open the hearing on Senate Bill 439, which revises provisions relating to alcoholic beverages. Good afternoon. You may begin when you're ready.
Good afternoon, Chair Marzola, members of the committee. My name is Mary Tran, T-R-A-N, and I am the Deputy General Counsel of Foley Family Wines and Spirits. To my left is our outside
I don't want to
counsel.
interrupt you. Can you just move the microphone a little closer to you?
Yep.
There you go. Thank you.
To my left is our outside counsel, Mr. Leif Reed of Womble Bond Dickinson. To my right is Mr. Joseph O'Sullivan, our master distiller at Minden Mill Distilling. First, I would like to thank this committee for giving us the opportunity to present Senate Bill 439. I will provide some background information on the purpose of this bill. Mr. O'Sullivan will provide information on Minden Mill's efforts to further the distillery's recognition as an estate distillery, and Mr. Reed will discuss the specific provisions of Senate Bill 439. In 1996, Foley Family Wines and Spirits was founded by Bill and Carol Foley, both Nevada residents. We produce a portfolio of highly acclaimed wines and spirits from various estates in California, Oregon, Washington, and New Zealand. We have also expanded into the spirits business. We are extremely proud to operate Minden Mill Distilling, our estate distillery located in the historic mill buildings on Highway 395 in Minden, Nevada. The facility has state-of-the-art stills and rickhouses that are climate-controlled and set to specific locations in Kentucky and Scotland. Our grains are grown 3 miles away, and the water we use is from an aquifer fed by Sierra Nevada snowmelts. Minden Mill oversees every step of the grain-to-glass process, and no part of our distilling process is outsourced. Building spirits brands can take up to 5 years to gain traction in the industry. Senate Bill 439 would authorize us to store and bottle third-party bulk spirits. This would help us earn additional revenue to maintain our estate distillery and make the best use of our facility. We have the systems in place to ensure third-party spirits are properly and strictly segregated to ensure there is no crossover into our estate distilled products, of which we take great pride in. This bill would also make clear that an estate distillery may sell at retail other spirits not manufactured at the distillery as long as it obtains local licensing. As a new business, we would appreciate the ability to maximize the capabilities of our facility and earn additional revenue without diminishing the prestige of having one of the few true estate distilleries in America. I will now hand it over to Mr. O'Sullivan to provide more information. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Chair Marzola, and committee members for giving us the opportunity to present this bill. My name is Joseph O'Sullivan, and I am the master distiller for Minden Mill Distilling in Minden, Nevada. I want to thank you for the opportunity for me to represent the mission at the heart of Minden Mill and why it is that the bill we are seeking poses no threat to the integrity of our estate distilling license. Just like distillers everywhere, we take our brand very seriously. We know that representing the community as much as representing the whiskey we age is best for all of us. For the past 20 years, I've worked alongside agriculture and know how important it is for products to be made locally because of the pride that that manifests, which is why the estate distilling term must be a signifier of quality above all, and for that, there must be trust. In the interest of exactly that, this past winter, we became members of the University of Kentucky's Estate Whiskey Alliance, a science-focused organization both researching and promoting estate whiskey. We joined because we are serious about our craft and the value it gives to a community. This organization requires full transparency, including a grain-to-glass pathway where the entire history of a bottle can be seen and supported. Further, it is our policy at Minden that all non-estate spirits are segregated and recorded for similar tracing and transparency. Barrels brought into the rickhouse would similarly be isolated, and we maintain a separate labeling system for visual distinction. In closing, I want to assure you that the wall between estate and non-estate products will be upheld as professionals and believers in what the estate designation represents. And to restate the benefits that this bill amendment is a financial opportunity that will only shorten the path to making Minden and the Carson Valley synonymous with world-class whiskey. I will now hand it over to my colleague, Mr. Reed, to discuss the provisions of this bill. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Leif Reed, Leifreid, for the record, Madam Chair. The changes proposed in this bill are pretty discrete. I'll describe them briefly. Section 1 has two principal changes. The first is that that craft distilleries would be permitted using the same statutory language that wineries are currently allowed to sell other types of beer, liquor, or wine, so long as it is appropriately licensed in the jurisdiction where the estate distillery is. The other change is what was just described, that allows, the language would permit an estate distillery to receive neutral or distilled spirits for storage so long as they are marked and completely segregated from the operations of the estate distillery. That's it.
Thank you for your presentation. Are you ready for questions?
Yes, we are, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Committee members, are there any questions? I don't see any. Oh, speak. Oh, you were thinking, okay. Assemblymember Cole.
So, and thank you, Chair. So my question is, why the need for storing the neutral or distilled spirits received from elsewhere? Like, what? I'm not a distiller. I don't understand the difference. So can you just explain why we need that? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Assemblymember Cole. The need to store or to bottle, for the record, my name is Joseph O'Sullivan. Thank you. The need to store or to bottle allows us to grow the brand. It takes some time for something like whiskey, vodka, whatever we're producing, to generate revenue. To have a distillery, you require, it's not like a brewery where you can have a community support it, but because the cost per bottle is more, because the time it takes for these spirits to mature, you're looking at a multiple years of patience before you can start to really own a region or a nation or even international distribution. This is purely for us to allow for revenue to be generated by using the equipment that we already have, and such as the rickhouse and the bottling line, while we go to build that brand with the goal eventually to not have to take third-party work at all, but to only be able to focus on our stuff. In short, we've made the investment for bottling lines it'd be nice to use it even if it's not for our products for the time being. But the distinction between estate distilled, which is products that we produce ourselves here, and what we may bring in for just work would be very clear both at the facility and all documented along the line.
Committee members, any additional questions? I don't see any. I do have just a clarifying question. So then the distillery would be able to sell, for example, beer, liquor, and wine, correct? So for example, if I go to the distillery and I don't drink whiskey, and I'm with a bunch of friends, but I want wine, that gives you the ability at that point to sell me a glass or a bottle, correct?
Yes, Madam Chair, Leif Reed for the record. Just by way of example, the answer to that is yes. Minden Mill is owned by the Foley family. Wines, they have other products that under existing law they could not offer you, and this is to allow them to be able to sell those other brands that you might be interested if you weren't wanting the distilled spirits at that time.
Great, thank you. Committee members, last chance. I don't see any questions. So if you want to step back a moment, and I will begin with testimony in support of Senate Bill 439. Is there anyone in Carson City wishing to testify in support? We don't see anyone walking up. There is no one in Las Vegas. Broadcast, is there anyone on the line?
To testify in support for Senate Bill 439, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue.
Wiz Rizard, Deputy State Director with American for Prosperity. That's spelled WIZROUZARD. We appreciate the presentation of bill sponsor, and we support this bill wholeheartedly. We believe that small businesses, whether it's a distillery or any small business, should have the opportunity to engage in innovative ways to not only draw more customers, but provide more goods and services to a marketplace. And given that we're an organization that believes in free market principles, we support this bill 1,000% and hope that the members of the committee can do so as well. So thanks to the bill sponsor, and thank you, Chair, for allowing this bill to be heard.
Thank you for your testimony. Broadcast, is there anyone else on the line?
Chair, the public lines are open and working. We have no more callers for support at this time.
Thank you. We will move to testimony in opposition of Senate Bill 439. Is there anyone in Carson City wishing to testify in opposition? I don't see anyone. I don't see anyone in Las Vegas. Broadcast, is there anyone on the line?
Chair, we have no callers for opposition at this time.
Thank you. We will move to neutral testimony. Is there anyone in Carson City wishing to testify in neutral?
Matt Robinson with Argenta Partners. Here today on behalf of Frey Ranch Estate Distillery. We are in neutral on the bill, and simply because we believe that the expanded abilities contemplated in this legislation be applied to all distilleries, including craft distilleries throughout the state. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to testify in neutral? I don't see anyone. There's no one in Las Vegas. Broadcast, is there anyone on the line?
Chair, we have no callers for neutral.
Thank you. Would you like to give any closing remarks? No? I will close the hearing on Senate Bill 439. I will now open a hearing on Senate Bill 11, which revises provisions relating to the payment of extended unemployment benefits. Good afternoon. You may begin when you're ready.
Good afternoon. For the record, Chris Sewell, Director of the Department of Employment Training and Rehabilitation. Thank you, Chair Marzola and committee members for taking the time to hear SB 11. It's a fairly simple bill that comes up, and the genesis of it is sequestration, federal sequestration. And so we're wanting to change how that is applied in the state of Nevada, and how that is applied with claimant benefits. Now, there's a lot of numbers and a lot of legalese that I do not have, and I'm one of the ones that always says, hire the best people in the world, so I have two of the best in the world. And I'll turn that over to them, my Deputy Director, Troy Jordan, and our state's Chief Economist, David Schmidt. So, and before I do that, I know a couple of you know that I had some issues a few weeks ago. I had to have surgery, and I'm doing fine. I will recommend that every gentleman in the hearing room and every gentleman online does an annual PSA test. They're extremely important. So that's my 10-second Health and Human Services Subcommittee thing, but I am doing fine, and I do thank everyone for all the well wishes. So I'll turn it over to my Deputy Director. Thank you.
Well, in that case, Troy Jordan, Deputy Director for the record, and I will turn it over to Dave Schmidt to present the bill because he is the subject matter expert.
Thank you very much. David Schmidt, Chief Economist for the Research and Analysis Bureau at Dieter, for the record. As the Director said, SB 11 has to do with sequestration. There are a lot of different programs that come up. This is a piece of a lot of different programs. I will try to make sure to walk you through all of the different acronyms. But essentially, this is to ensure that when the state extended benefits program is active, it's not imposing any additional costs on the state. So looking at slide 3 of the presentation, I think there's 4 things that you need to know, 4 different programs related to unemployment benefits to help clear, make it clear what this bill is affecting. There's the regular unemployment insurance program, or I'll call it UI. This is always active. It's the program that everyone's familiar with. It provides up to 26 weeks of benefits. It's funded by the state trust fund. It's always there if someone loses a job through no fault of their own. Everything else is only sometimes there. The Extended Benefit Program, or EB, is a permanent part of state law, but it's conditional on particular triggers related to the level of benefits being paid or the state's unemployment rate. It only kicks on in recessions. It has kicked on in every recession, largely because of action by Congress. There are other programs. There's also the EUC program, which is something that's been created by Congress historically in every recession, but it's not a permanent part of law anywhere. But typically, when there's a recession, Congress says people need more weeks of benefits, and so they will stand up this program, modeled on the many that have come before it, to provide some additional weeks of benefits. And finally, there's the PUA program. This was the unemployment program that provides services for gig workers. This was a new thing that came up in 2020. It had not previously been done before. But if you think of unemployment benefits, you're probably thinking of one of those 4 programs. This bill only affects the extended benefit program. In terms of who gets paid what and when, the regular unemployment program flows into the EUC program, which then flows into the extended benefit program. So this is the last payable tier of benefits, sort of following in that chain of regular unemployment benefits. The PUA program, completely unrelated to this. So I really only bring it up to say this isn't that, to make sure that it's clear in your minds. The extended benefit program, as it functions in law, is designed as a 50-50 split between the state and the feds in terms of the costs of paying for these benefits, recognizing that states in a recession face additional burdens, and to incentivize them to have this program in place. As a permanent part of law, half the cost is paid by the state, half the cost is paid by the feds. But in practice, in every recession, going back to 2001, the feds have also passed, in addition to creating this EUC program, they have passed something that says, we know it's 50-50, but we're going to pick up the state share. So this has typically been the case in every recession. And why does that 50-50 share matter? When we look at what happens here, we can go to the next slide. Sequestration happens because of the Balanced Budget and Emergency Deficit Control Act of 1985, and essentially in Every period in which this has been in place, it sequesters or it reduces federal funding for certain permanent federal programs. And so this is where that 50-50 share matters, is we will hear sequestration, everything's getting reduced by 5.7%, but the actual impact to the extended benefit program only affects that permanent 50% share of the federal costs. And so it really becomes a 2.5-ish%, 2.35% in the most recent recession. So this is a permanent program that does get affected by sequestration. And so, for example, if you have someone who's receiving a $500 weekly benefit under the extended benefit program, the feds say, oh, we'll give you 100% of the cost, except we're not going to give you 100%, we're going to give you 97.5%. So instead of $500 to support that $500 payment, we're going to give you $488.50. And so the purpose of this bill, and we can look at the next slide, is essentially to avoid surprises with the financing. Because the weekly benefit amount that people can receive is established in law, we can't just say, we're going to only give you the $488.50 that the feds are paying. That $500 is established in law. And so unless we have a change to the law, states are on the hook to come up with the difference. And so this essentially provides that mechanism using language provided by the Department of Labor as sort of model legislation to allow states to ensure that the benefits that are going out the door match the funds that are available to pay for those benefits and not to put additional costs on the state. And that's what you will see on slide 6. I'd say this is largely to avoid surprises in the future. Following the Great Recession, it was difficult programmatically to try to adopt ways of reducing these benefits. And so there ended up being a special program which drastically reduced a couple of weeks for the people that happened to be on the program at this time. By making sure this is established up front and as a permanent part of the law, it keeps having a big surprise from showing up at the back end for people. And with that, we'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you for your presentation. Committee members, are there any questions? I don't see any. Thank you for your presentation today. We will move to testimony in support of Senate Bill 11. Is there anyone here in Carson City wishing to testify in support? You may begin when you're ready.
Good afternoon, Chair, members of the committee. Paul Muratkin with the Vegas Chamber. The Chamber is in support of SB 11. We appreciate the work that's been done by Dieter. As you heard, this protects the solvency of the trust fund, especially if we move into a recession, and therefore we're in support. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your testimony. Is there anyone else in Carson City wishing to testify in support? I don't see anyone. There's no one in Las Vegas. Broadcast, is there anyone on the line?
Thank you, Chair. There are no callers to provide testimony at this time.
Thank you. We will move to testimony in opposition of Senate Bill 11. Is there anyone in Carson City wishing to testify in opposition? I don't see anyone. No one still in Las Vegas. Broadcast, is there anyone on the line?
Chair, there are no callers at this time.
Thank you. We will move to neutral testimony. Is there anyone in Carson City wishing to testify in neutral? Broadcast, is there anyone on the line?
Thank you, Chair. There are no callers at this time.
Thank you. Would you like to give any final remarks? I will now close the hearing on Senate Bill 11. I will now open the hearing on Senate Bill 97, which makes revisions to the Silver State Health Insurance Exchange. Welcome. You may begin when you're ready. Please remember to state and spell your name for the record.
Thank you, Chair Marzola, members of the committee. Brett Scolari with Strategies 360, BRETTSCOLARI, here today proudly representing the Reno Sparks Indian Colony. With me today is Chair Daryl Gardapi of the colony and Angie Wilson, who is the director of the Reno Sparks Tribal Health Clinic. First, we sincerely appreciate the opportunity to present SB 97 in its reprint today. We'd also like to thank Senator Doñate for allowing us to work on SB 97 to focus on a change to the makeup of the Exchange Board. And lastly, we'd like to thank the members of the Interim Health and Human Services Committee who worked so hard on tribal issues that were important to tribes in our state and to the state of Nevada. So the first reprint on SB 97 is really straightforward. SB 97 amends NRS Section 695I 300 to require that one of the 5 governor appointments to the Exchange Board be a member of a Nevada tribe with experience in tribal health administration in the state of Nevada. We believe that this change is critical for the state, the Exchange, and the tribal community to work together and collaborate to deliver the best possible health care to tribal members of this state. So with that, Chair, I'd love to turn it over to Ms. Wilson, and she can explain a little bit more why this change is so important. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Let me first start off by saying, Sep Ketcha, Masa Ketcha, Waklisi Samax, Iligatikechi Angie Wilson, Reno Sparks Tribal Health Center Director. I'd just like to say thank you so much for allowing us to be here today to speak to you all about this bill. With that, I just wanted to mention real quick that, there's a special trust responsibility and legal obligations when it comes to healthcare for American Indians and Alaska Natives. And what that responsibility is, it's really with the federal government. And so I wanted to just explain that treaties between the United States and tribal nations provide the legal foundation of the federal government's obligation to provide health care for American Indians and Alaska Natives. And through this process, to also include the health care for tribal nations across the board. The modern authorization for this provision of health care services to our people is known as the Indian Health Care Improvement Act. And the primary authorization to pay for such federal services for the general welfare remains as the Snyder Act. The Congress has also passed additional statutes directing the Indian Health Services to provide health care to our people. And based on this body of law, that trust responsibility is identified as follows: that the trust relationship establishes the responsibility for a variety of services and benefits to Indian people, including health care, and that this relationship has been defined in case law and statutes as a political relationship. Treaties between the United States government and our Indian tribes frequently call for the provision of medical services, the services of physicians, or the provisions of hospitals for the care of Indian people. And the reason why I wanted to mention that is it really comes down to setting the base on how we got to the provisions that I'll be talking about when it comes to the Affordable Care Act. When the Affordable Care Act was implemented, it also included the Indian Health Care Improvement and Modernization Act. And what that did was it provided a pathway that our tribes would be able to sponsor healthcare premiums for our Indian people through the federal exchange and or through the state-based exchanges. And so I want to just talk a moment about what some of those provisions are. Like I said, the law does allow for our tribes to be able to use our funding and or our revenue or even tribal funds to be able to purchase healthcare premiums for enrolled members of federally recognized tribes. The Affordable Care Act also established Indian-specific cost-sharing provisions under which American Indians and Alaska Natives who are enrolled members of federally recognized tribes pay no deductibles, co-insurance, or co-payments when receiving essential health care benefits, and that tribal members can enroll either in a zero or limited cost-sharing plan, depending on their income level, and or that our Indian people are eligible to receive services through the Indian Health Services or through our tribal clinics, also have the option when they are referred for care to have zero cost sharing whatsoever, as long as they're getting the referral through our clinics. The other thing that the bill allows, or the Affordable Care Act allowed, is under 45 CFR 156, it requires qualified health plan insurers to accept premium and cost-sharing payments for tribal members directly from Indian tribes, tribal organizations, or urban Indian organizations. And by default, the monthly premiums for these enrollments are managed on an individual policy basis. Under the CFR, it's further leveraged that the authority is granted to establish terms and conditions which will standardize the aggregated payment of premiums by tribal enrollees under the tribal health clinics. In addition, the Indian Healthcare Improvement Act, under Section 206, as amended by the Affordable Care Act, stipulates that Indian healthcare providers can bill a qualified health plan issuer for covered services provided to plan enrollees regardless if our tribal clinics are contracted with the QHP or not. And that regardless of that contracting, that we would also be able to bill for such services and that those services would be reimbursed to the tribal clinics. What I do want you to know is that the Affordable Care Act was enacted a decade ago. It's taken us a decade to get to the point where we can do tribal sponsorship in this state. And that shouldn't be the way that it rolled out, but it is. What we've done is we've worked really closely with Nevada Health Link and with the Silver State Health Insurance Exchange to create a pathway for tribal sponsorship for our Indian people, and so that our Nevada tribes can move forward with obtaining or purchasing insurance for the members that come to our clinics. I think that the beauty in this work has been really evolving a really strong partnership that we have now with the Nevada Health Link and the Silver State Health Insurance Exchange. But I'll be honest that I wouldn't expect, and any of you who've ever had to obtain services in a system that you don't know, it's difficult to understand. So for me, although I come from a family who have veterans, I'm not a veteran myself, so trying to understand the VA is very difficult when it comes to healthcare. Imagine that, but on the Indian Health Services side. There's provisions in this law that it depends on if you're an enrolled member of a federally recognized tribe or a descendant of a federally recognized tribe where the law changes. So it can be really difficult. So those are things that we look at providing in our clinic, and sometimes there can be issues of what income counts and what income doesn't count under the law when it comes to Indian enrollees. So one of the things that I just wanted to mention is that what we're looking for is a way to strengthen our partnership in this state, especially when we don't know what the future is going to be. I think at the end of this year, we know that the advanced premium tax credit will be up for discussion in Congress. What will that look like for us? How will that impact Indian people? How will it impact our ability to continue to sustain sponsorship of these plans? And what will change in that effort? And I think that one of the things that we've been able to look at is how we might be able to strengthen the Silver State Health Insurance Exchange, and that would be to place one of the seats as a tribal seat on the board. So the Silver State Health Insurance Exchange, I believe, may have 7 individuals on that. What we're looking is one of the appointees that would be coming out of the governor's appointment would be for a tribal seat specifically to help us address these issues. That helps us to be able to provide context to changes or concerns that we're looking at in the state. For an example, when we looked at the pathway to create a health exchange sponsorship, a tribal sponsorship in the state, one of the things that we ran into was, well, your individuals would have to get our state certification to be able to enroll anyone, because we don't, if people need to know if they're going to be upsold a new plan. But for us, we're not upselling anything. We're the ones covering the cost of the plan. And in addition, the law, in the federal law, the ACA doesn't provide a pathway that tribes have to follow that process. So a lot of that was education that we've had to do with the Nevada Silver State Health Insurance Exchange. They worked with us to come up and develop a new tribal enroller certification that fits our needs. So I think that we can show that there's benefit in working with the tribes on how we might be able to strengthen this opportunity, and we definitely feel that one of those seats at least should be for a tribal representative on this seat. We do feel that it would be beneficial to the state. We have worked closely with the Nevada Health Link, who I will say, under the direction of their executive director, Russell Cook, he's been amazing at working with us, and also they initially drafted the language of this additional seat specifically for the tribes. So I feel like we have a great partnership. I will just say that we're here to look at how to be a good steward, how to be a positive influence and a partner at the table when it comes to issues in the Affordable Care Act that directly impact American Indians and Alaska Natives, specifically under the law. And again, because of the federal trust responsibility. So with that, I'll turn it over to you if you have any questions.
Thank you for your presentation and for all the information you just provided to the committee. And I do agree with you. Having a tribal member on the board is very important, but a voting tribal member, right? And so thank you for all the work that you've done on this bill. And with that, committee members, are there any questions? I don't see any. We will move to testimony in support of Senate Bill 97. Take your time. We will start with Carson City. Please remember to state and spell your name for the record. You may begin when you're ready.
Good afternoon. Alex Tanchek, that is Tanchek, with Silver State Government Relations, representing Pyramid Lake Paiute Tribe and the Duck Valley Shawnee Paiute Tribes, here in support of the bill. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Is there anyone else in Carson City wishing to testify in support? I don't see anyone. Is there anyone in Las Vegas wishing to testify in support of Senate Bill 97? Don't see anyone walking up. Broadcast, is there anyone on the line?
Testify in support for Senate Bill 97. Please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. Chair, the public lines are open and working. We have no callers for support at this time.
Thank you. We will move to testimony in opposition of Senate Bill 97. Is there anyone in Carson City wishing to testify in opposition? I don't see anyone. Is there anyone in Las Vegas wishing to testify in opposition? Don't see any. Whoop, spoke too soon. Good afternoon. Please remember to state and spell your name for the record. You may begin when you're ready.
Hi, my name is Jill Douglas, Douglass, and thank you for the opportunity, Chair and members of the committee. I just stand in strong opposition to Senate Bill 97. Feel Nevada families are already struggling under the weight of rising costs, higher taxes, and a strained healthcare system. From what I have researched, it seems like there would be $1 million of taxpayer money set aside to further study expansion of the public benefits.
Ma'am.
And so,
Ma'am, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm not sure if you are opposing the correct bill. We are on Senate Bill 97 relating to the Silver State Health Insurance Exchange and adding a.
Yes.
As amended, though.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification. Thank you.
Thank you for being part of the process. I don't see anyone else in Las Vegas. Broadcast, is there anyone else on the line?
Testify in opposition to Senate Bill 97. Please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers for opposition at this time.
Thank you. We will move to neutral testimony. Is there anyone in Carson City wishing to testify in neutral? I don't see anyone. I don't see anyone in Las Vegas. Broadcast, is there anyone on the line?
Testify in neutral to Senate Bill 97. Please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers for neutral.
Thank you. Would you like to give any closing remarks? Yeah, absolutely. You have the floor. Just
Angie
remember to
Wilson.
state and spell your name,
Yeah.
or just state your name.
Sure. Angie Wilson, Reno Sparks Tribal Health Center Director. I just want to say thank you to the Assembly for hearing this proposed bill. We appreciate that very much and look forward to the next stage of this bill, and looking forward to being good partners with the Silver State Health Insurance Exchange. Thank you so much.
And thank you again for your presentation and being with us this afternoon. I will now close the hearing on Senate Bill 97. I will now open up for public comment. Please address your remarks to issues that fall within the jurisdiction of this committee. Public comment is limited to 2 minutes per person. Is there anyone here in Carson City wishing to provide public comment? I don't see anyone. There's no one in Las Vegas. Broadcast, is there anyone on the line?
Thank you, Chair. If you would like to provide public comment, please press *9 now to join the queue. Chair, our public line is open and working. However, there are no callers choosing to provide comment at this time.
Thank you so much. Are there any comments, committee members, before I adjourn? I don't see any. This concludes our meeting for today. Our next meeting will be on Wednesday, April 30th. This meeting's adjourned.